Occam's razor, Maura Murray. Maura Murray, who was 21 years old at the time, sent an email to several of her professors at the University of Massachusetts Amherst on the afternoon of February 9, 2004, to turn in her homework and inform them that she would be absent from class for 1 week because of a member of her family had passed away. Murray left the university campus with a tiny suitcase that was filled with various articles of clothing, cosmetics, school materials, and personal items. This is how the Maura Murray disappearance mystery started, and it only gets more mysterious from here on out. Today we look at what happened, what the internet thinks happened, and what most likely happened using Occam's razor principle. According to the authorities, Murray took her black 1996 Saturn to an ATM at around 3:15 p.m. and withdrew $280. After that, she got in her car and went to a liquor store, where she spent around $40 on various alcoholic drinks. After leaving the Amherst-Hadley region at around 4:30 in the afternoon, she started driving north in the direction of New Hampshire. There was no member of the family who passed away, and Murray did not share any of her future intentions with either her friends or her family. Faith Westman called the authorities in Haverhill, New Hampshire at 7:27 p.m. on the same day to report a car that had been involved in an accident and was parked in a ditch outside of her residence. After a few moments, another motorist, identified as Butch Atwood, pulled over to check on the driver and see whether she was hurt or if she needed help. Atwood was informed by the woman, who was afterwards found to be Murray, that she had already contacted roadside assistance. He tried to get in touch with the authorities, but his mobile phone did not have any reception. Atwood decided not to check on Murray after seeing that she did not seem to be hurt, and instead went home to use the landline telephone to contact the authorities. Atwood called authorities around 7:42 p.m. that evening. He reported that Murray seemed to be in some degree of confusion. On the other hand, it did not seem that she had sustained any bodily harm. After just 4 minutes, the police arrived at the collision scene, but Murray was nowhere to be found. Can a person vanish into thin air? Even if they are unexplained, none of these disappearances are a complete dead end. There are always hypotheses about what occurred. Online detectives continue to investigate and undertake research much after law enforcement authorities have given up. Murray's disappearance, which occurred days after Facebook's launch, is one of the first crime mysteries of the social media era. Maura Murray disappearance theories. She was pregnant and ran away. Maura Murray sought driving instructions to the western Massachusetts, Berkshires, and Burlington, Vermont. She also contacted the proprietors of a Vermont condominium complex and a resort, probably to inquire about booking accommodations. However, the authorities were unable to confirm any such bookings. She also investigated the consequences of alcohol use during pregnancy. Some people feel that Maura may have orchestrated her own disappearance because she was pregnant. James Renner, who authored a book on Murray's case, believes she may have used an underground system to flee the country and is now living in Canada. Although she had no money, some people believe she might have used the $4,000 her father had given her for her new vehicle. Despite the interesting nature of the hypothesis, Murray did not make any phone calls after her accident. Neither did she seek to contact her family or friends in the 18 years after she disappeared. No reliable Murray sightings have ever been reported in Canada or abroad. Maura Murray's family believes she was abducted. According to the prevalent view, Maura Murray was kidnapped by either an opportunistic predator or a serial killer. Fred Murray feels that his daughter was taken by a local individual who knows the region, where to go, and how to enter and get out without being noticed. Larry Moulton came forward in late 2004 with a knife he believes was used in the presumed murder of Murray. It belonged to his brother Claude, who lived about 1 mile away in an A-frame house. By 2006, Claude had left the home, and the new owners had authorized private investigators to investigate. Cadaver dogs detected the odor of a rotting corpse. Additionally, carpet samples from the residence were obtained for analysis. The samples were unfortunately lost owing to a lack of clarity in the chain of custody. The New Hampshire State Police were given the knife belonging to Moulton, but their results were never made public. In 2016, the podcast Missing Maura Murray returned to the A-frame house. They spotted what seemed to be blood smears in a cabinet. A molecular geneticist investigated the wood chips and determined that human blood was present. Unfortunately, the samples were insufficient to determine if the blood is Maura's or not. A home in the cadaver dog search route was inspected in 2019 after ground-penetrating radar revealed a disturbance in the basement. Investigators dug and analyzed several feet below the surface of the basement, but no evidence was found. So how does this mysterious disappearance play out, applying Occam's razor principle? Occam's razor is a philosophical principle. Suppose there are two alternative explanations for an occurrence. Typically, the correct explanation involves the fewest assumptions. To put it another way, the more assumptions an explanation requires, the less plausible it is. The razor of Occam is particularly applicable to the philosophy of science, yet it also arises in daily life. The most logical explanation to Murray's disappearance goes as follows. Murray admitted in November 2003, 3 months before her disappearance, that she used a stolen credit card to purchase meals from restaurants. In December, the case was extended, only to be removed after 3 months of good conduct. On the evening of February 5, 2004, while on duty at her campus security position, Murray chatted with her elder sister Kathleen over the phone. Kathleen's relationship issues were addressed with her fiancé. Murray allegedly broke down in tears at 10:30 p.m. while she was still on duty. When her supervisor arrived, Murray was seated at her desk. At 1:20 a.m., the supervisor took Murray back to her dorm room. Murray responded with 2 words when asked what was wrong. "My sister." The supervisor said that she was in a catatonic-like state. Fred Murray had traveled to Amherst 2 days before to Maura Murray's disappearance to help her to look for a new vehicle. Her 1996 Saturn vehicle was hardly drivable and created massive smoke plumes when driven. Murray borrowed her father's new Toyota Corolla that evening so she could attend a party. In the early hours of February 8th, while returning to her father's hotel, Murray collided with a guardrail, sustaining roughly $10,000 in damages. There is no evidence that Murray submitted to a breathalyzer test after the collision, although she was allegedly upset. At the time of her disappearance, Maura Murray was in a relationship with Bill Roche, whom she had met at West Point, although the couple apparently had relationship problems. Roche was suspected of infidelity, and Murray was having an affair with her track coach, Hossein Baghdadi. Baghdadi later testified that Murray had discussed running away and wanting to escape a supposedly dominating Roche with him. At the time of Murray's disappearance, Roche was stationed in Oklahoma, and her last email to him, written on February 9th at 1 p.m., read, "I love you more, stud. I got your messages, but honestly, I didn't feel like talking to much of anyone. I promised to call today, though. Love you, Maura." Murray withdrew $280 from an ATM before her accident. Closed-circuit television revealed that she was alone. Murray bought around $40 worth of alcoholic drinks from a neighboring liquor shop, including Bailey's Irish Cream, Carla vodka, and a carton of Franzia wine. Again, surveillance video reveals that she made the transaction alone. As seen by the events before the accident and the events in Murray's life, it may be safe to say that she was under stress or just needed some time away from the goings-on in her life that may have led to a mental episode. Her final accident could have pushed her over the edge, causing her to flee the scene of the accident. The most logical explanation of her disappearance would be that after fleeing the scene and possibly being intoxicated, as there were missing bottles of alcohol from her purchase at the liquor store, Murray tried to hide from the authorities that were on their way. As always, the theories on Reddit forums when it comes to true crimes are conflicting, but credit has to be given for the sheer tenacity of the keyboard sleuths and their investigations. One Redditor investigated a very important component of the day in question in relation to Murray walking away from the scene: whether the night Maura Murray disappeared. I decided to do some research on whether the night Maura Murray disappeared. It was said that the night Maura disappeared wasn't cold, but the Weather Underground disagrees. Let me explain. Look below. There are two links to the Weather Underground. First thing we know is that Maura was headed east on 112. Now, the night Maura disappeared, the temperatures fluctuated between 27 degrees Fahrenheit to 23 degrees Fahrenheit, or minus 2.7 degrees Celsius to minus 5. When she had her accident, the temperature was between 27 degrees Fahrenheit to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, or minus 2.7 to minus 3.8. These temperatures are below freezing, and thus someone could suffer from hypothermia in these conditions. When you add the fact that the wind was blowing in a westerly direction, coupled with the fact Maura was traveling east and would have continued on foot, it's obvious that had Maura continued on foot heading east, she would have been facing below freezing temperatures and having the wind against her. Also, if Maura had been drinking, the blood vessels near her skin would have dilated, and thus she would have lost significant heat due to her intoxication. Based on the ATM videos, we can tell Maura was wearing a jacket. What we can't tell, however, is what she was wearing on her feet. They go on to say, if Maura was walking against the wind, there's a good chance she had blowing snow in her face, which would have brought down her body temperature and also kept her from seeing very well. It's possible she could have ventured into the woods to avoid the wind and blowing snow, and then got lost. It's also entirely possible that she slipped and fell and hurt herself. If she was drinking, her motor skills would have been diminished. Let me know what you think. Using Occam's razor principle in the Maura Murray case certainly leads us to believe that there was no foul play at work that day. Murray, in a diminished mental state, possibly intoxicated and fearful of the authorities, ran and hid in the snow-covered woods and got lost or succumbed to the harsh elements. Where her remains or possessions that were missing from her vehicle are, add to the already mysterious circumstances of this case. We hope that one day her family will get closure and Maura Murray can be laid to rest in the proper fashion. Thank you for watching Bad Things. Hit the subscribe button, like button, and notification bell, and share our channel for our up-and-coming true crime videos.